r/am I the butthole? TR0 12,312,333 says, am I the butthole for giving my husband an ultimatum when it comes to my mom and disabled brother living with us? For context, I 35 female and my husband 40 male have been together for 15 years and on. Married for 3 and we have 2 kids. Since the beginning he has known about my older brother who is disabled, cerebral palsy, quadriplegic, and about my elderly mother. I'm the youngest of 4. I have always been clear that there will be a time when I will have to care for them both. My 2 older brothers will also take on the responsibility. We will each care for them a few months out of the year, so they are not a burden on any one of us. Well, that time is approaching. My mom recently had a conversation with us 3 siblings about how she will need to start getting the help from us permanently as she is getting too old to take care of my brother on her own. She is 74 and currently live in our home country, where she does have help from one of my cousins who lives with her. He is the one that mainly takes care of my mom. Now, the issue arises that, since we will need to start taking care of them on a more permanent basis, my husband does not want to have them in our home for months at a time. He and my mom have had their issues in the past, but he does recognize that she has helped us a lot with the girls. My mom took care of my oldest and did not have to take her to daycare nor pay for it as she would never charge us for watching her grandbaby. He feels that we would lose our privacy and that my mom would nag us. Now, my siblings and I do not want to put her and brother in a nursing home or anything like that. So am I the butthole for telling my husband that if he didn't like it then he would have to leave? I do recognize that I said that in the heat of the moment as this is not new to him. He has always known that at some point I would be caring for them. I even told him this before we decided to get married and he was on board. Edit. Wow, so many responses. This is my first time posting. I've been busy with work so just getting to see all the comments. I'll try to address as many questions as possible. My mom and hubby get along fine. She does not mistreat him or anything like that. She actually caters to him, especially when it comes to food. Always makes sure I feed him lol in the Latino culture. That's how it is. Make sure your man is fed. My mom and bro are both US citizens so there is no issues with them traveling back and forth. Also, the plan my brothers and I had was for a few years down the road. As of right now my mom is still healthy and strong enough to be able to travel. Back home she has someone who helps take care of my brother. Financially we are all stable and she has a good pension, so they would not be a financial burden on any of us. We all live in the same hometown, so we can all contribute to the care regardless of where mom/bro is staying. It would be very detrimental to my brother's health if we put him in an assisted living facility. He is very emotionally attached to us and our family. I really appreciate everyone's comments as they have opened my eyes to a future reality that I had not foreseen. Who are we kidding? I do believe the in-law suite option is great and one that my hubby and I have considered as well. I will say that hubby and I are fine and words were said in the heat of the moment. We will talk further and we'll have to come up with a better plan, especially have backup plans. This is not a fake story, just don't have all the time in the world to reply back to all the questions and read all the comments. Brothers do have significant others, but no kids yet. They so are on board with taking care of mom/bro as this has always been a part of our family plan. We have always known that when my mom is no longer able to care for brother we will step in. This was not expected of us, but rather a decision that we made and something that we are upfront about when entering a serious relationship. Hence why this was not a surprise to my husband, it was not something new. We will clearly have to set boundaries with all parties involved. MsFinch87 says, info, was this also discussed in the context of you two having kids? To me, if it was factored in with you having kids then you're N tier, but if it hasn't been factored in with you having kids then Y tier. Full-time caring for your disabled brother and elderly mother is going to take a great deal of time and energy. Time and energy that is potentially going to be sacrificed with your kids. AITAH, NTA, based on Op's reply. TR0 12,312,333 says. Yes, this was discussed before kids and after kids. Midnight Sanofa Bizach says. I noticed you've answered most questions, but haven't addressed what issues your husband has with your mom. Care to elaborate? Edit. Op has said her mother stayed with them when Op had her second child and helped around the house. But she interfered when Op's husband scolded their daughter and made him feel like a guest in his own home. Based on this, I would say Esh. Op's husband knew this was coming. At the same time, perhaps he didn't anticipate the issues with his mill. Clearly he's uncomfortable at the prospect of cohabiting with her now, and I can't get behind Op telling him if he doesn't like it he can leave. This is not what a partnership looks like. FunRep4502 says. This is a tough one, but I have to go now. I understand you wish to help with your mom and brother, and I get where you're coming from with having told your husband this from the beginning. But I also understand where your husband is coming from. You're wanting to bring 2 more adults into the house for extended periods of time. Adults that are both going to need care or assistance. You already have 2 children in the house and you and your husband. Do you have the space for 2 more adults to have their own privacy? How much will this increase living costs in the household? Are you and your husband going to bear the brunt of the cost increase? If your husband's parents end up needing help down the line, are you going to welcome them in as well? And I hate to ask, but one day down the line when your mother passes, your brother is still going to need care, and it will then fall solely on you too. There's a lot to consider. This is a huge decision. I don't think you're wrong for wanting to help, although the ultimatum was not very kind. But I don't think your husband is wrong for not wanting to give up his space to help caretake for 2 grown adults either. Am I the butthole? Disappointed since 15 says. Am I the butthole for not watching my nephew in my mom's place the same day my sister gotten into an accident? The title's a little confusing, so let me make it clear. My mom and little sisters, my older brother and nephews, and I all live in 3 different states from each other. My brother has a 2-year-old and a newborn and asked me earlier this year if I would come help his wife watch the boys when he went out of town. I accepted. The flights were booked. A week before he cancels and says he'll need me for another date, but doesn't give it to me. I asked him multiple times what the date was because I don't have last minute flight money, so finally he tells me don't worry, mom is coming to visit that weekend anyway, so we're covered. Cool, I forget about it. At this point I'm well into my first trimester, becoming almost non-functional from morning sickness, so I didn't really want to go anyway, but I would because I already agreed to it. My mom says if I really want to come I can come instead of her, and I say no, it's fine, she can keep her plans. My mom is a terrible planner, BTW. So the weekend comes, everything is fine. I call my mom to see my nephews and she's upset and tells me that my 17-year-old sister just got into a car wreck. My sister just got her license, like still walking around with the paper copy, and Mo is not responsible enough to be driving around town with her friends in my mom's car while my mom is out of town, but my mom let her. Sadly she got into a crash, it was her fault. She's mostly okay, but she's been having headaches and my mom says she just seems depressed. My mom doesn't know the state of the other driver and my sister was not yet on her insurance, so she's also extremely worried about the financial ramifications along with my sister. So she blames me for being selfish and not just taking her place with my nephews, because in her words, if she was home none of it would have ever happened. Now some might think she's just very emotional right now looking for someone to blame, but I'm mom's least favorite child. She's blamed me for things since I was a kid and still hold grudges about them 10 to 15 years later. She won't ever let this go. So AITAH 13 Mugs says, NTA, you didn't create the situation at all. Brother and mom made plans, you verified those plans were set, so that you weren't leaving his family in a tough spot. Your sister got herself into a car accident and mom didn't put restrictions on her driving while she was away, or she did, and sister didn't listen. None of this is your fault. Lostholdout86 says, NTA, your brother asked your mom to come. You cannot predict the future. If your mom was concerned about your sister stealing her car and getting in an accident, she should have the keys with her. Am I the butthole sexy rabbit says, car wasn't even stolen, the mom gave permission. So even if Op did go instead of her mom, literally the only difference would have been mom would have been at home when the crash happened. Not responsible enough to be driving around town with her friends in my mom's car while my mom is out of town, but my mom let her. Jocelyn 1973 says, NTA. Of course you aren't. Your mother should set her own boundaries with her favorite children. She told one of them she'd visit and gave the other permission to use her car while she had virtually no driving experience and while she wasn't on the insurance yet. None of that is your fault. Don't let your mother guilt you into any of this. Ill-tempered old woman says, you really should cut them off. Don't visit, don't talk. What do they bring your life? Sounds like unjust blame and stress. NTA. Not creative Etol 16 says, NTA. You were told mom was coming. It sounds like it was her choice. And it was also her choice to let you cease drive without insurance. It sucks when the consequences of her actions cause problems, but here we are. The Servant of Evil says, NTA. I don't blame your brother for your current mess, though it sounds like he does need to get better at timely communication. Honestly, the one to blame here is definitely your mother. She sounds like a piece of work, to be truthful. If your mother wanted you to come watch your nephews instead of her back when you had the one call, she should have said something instead of just playing coy and saying if you really want to, you can come. And you do not wait on getting a kid on your insurance, especially because of reasons like this. A shame that this happened, and I hope your sister isn't too spooked from the accident. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.